Mars Perseverance, which launched in July 2020, cost $2.4 billion to build and launch, and will cost another $300 million to land and operate during its first year on Mars. So let's have a look what's got the press and the kids in the control room worked up into a frenzy. Now the sad thing is about all these shots when the control rooms at NASA, they are literally photo shoots, taking advantage of naive kids who work here, who get worked up into a frenzy because their ego's involved over some data that comes in on a screen. And you can see the cameras are all about to capture this moment in time, so this gets played back for years to come as somehow trying to solidify this charade, this Martian charade, this heliocentric charade. So let's have a look at these young, innocent, naive kids being taken advantage of as we are literally viewing a photo shoot of naive kids getting worked up over data on a screen.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life. At this point, the descent stage has flown away to a safe distance. Perseverance.
Sad, really, when you can see it for what it is. It's quite sad. Just innocent, naive nerds being taken advantage of. And literally, you can see in there loads of cameramen, people taking pictures and filming it for records to come to try and solidify this charade that is heliocentric space. So at 2.4 billion, let's see what is being served up now. That was when they landed. Let's see now what is being served up. Because if the numbers on the screen are getting these kids worked up, surely the things that are to come are going to send these kids into overdrive. Let's have a look. Latest, hot off the press.
This is an image of the rover Perseverance slung beneath the descent stage.
This clown made himself look ridiculous with the last Mars charade. He didn't have a Scooby-Doo. He was supposed to be the manager of the project. He didn't have a clue about anything.
Propulsion backpack as it is being lowered to the surface of Mars. You can see the dust kicked up by the rover's engines. We're probably about 2 meters or so above the surface of Mars. We're still checking the timing of this image. It's just hot off the presses. You can see the mechanical bridles that hold the rover underneath the descent stage. It's 3 straight lines heading down to the top deck. And then the curly electrical umbilical.
Matey boy, you make this about as exciting as a trip to the morgue. You're not feeling it, and neither am I. You're not convincing, and neither's the image on the screen. Even if it is real, it's hardly scientific. It's not blowing me away. It might get the kids in the control room worked up, but dear oh dear.
That is taking all of the electrical signals from the descent stage down to the computer inside the belly of the rover.
This image was acquired by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, or MRO, one of our orbiters.
And then you'll get served up this. Some Mars orbiter takes a picture of this. And what's that top right? It's supposed to be the craft coming in with a parachute. Unbelievable.
That's orbiting around Mars. You can see here in the zoomed in part of the image in the upper right, our spacecraft with a fully inflated parachute and hanging underneath it, our protective entry capsule. If you look just below to the little circle that you see on the screen, this was our eventual touchdown point.
Yeah, right. I'm sure it was, me old mate. I'm sorry. Again, not convincing. Ridiculous amount of money. Naive kids in the control room being taken advantage of. Images that I could produce for ridiculously low cost. Stories being made up left, right and centre that can't be verified. This is like the perfect fraud, isn't it?
Point. This was an image captured by our rear hazard avoidance camera.
I mean, even in this bloke's voice, he's not exactly buzzing with enthusiasm. Perhaps he knows, unlike the kids in the control room, I mean, it's difficult to get excited over this tosh, isn't it? Let's be fair.
So this is looking backwards from the Perseverance rover's perspective.
So this is a picture of with the covers still on.
Oh, please tell me it gets better, Hallie. Surely it gets better, darling.
And if we go to the next one, now we have our somewhat lower resolution, but...
Please tell me, what is scientific about these pictures, these stories? What is scientific about that? How does this help people suffering right now as a result of what's going on? Doesn't, does it? This is kind of irrelevant. It's a charade. Given the so-called achievements made back in space in the 60s, all this should have been done years ago, and it should have been filmed, mapped. We should have satellites, radio towers on Mars and all sorts by now, but no, still this silly charade. Daft pictures, naive kids in control rooms, ridiculous stories. Do we get anything that would even resemble something that would be classed as science? I mean, I would have thought filming coming in HD footage would be classed as scientific, but no, we'll just get these dodgy camera angles and just ridiculous explanations and whatever else. Again, about as much fun as a fucking rattlesnake in a lucky dip.
Really high resolution compared to what we've seen before on other previous missions, and now in color. So this is our first color front HazCam image and our first color image from the surface of Mars. This is not...
No offense, love, big deal, that could be anywhere, ridiculous costs involved. This isn't scientific whatsoever, Hallie.
A color corrected product yet, so we'll be continuing to work. Our team has been working up until 5 o'clock this morning, and we'll continue to be working hours like this over the weekend to get data as quickly and accessible out to the public. So one of the amazing things about these cameras is they're actually...
There it is, guys. This is the image we've been waiting for. The most scientific image I've ever come across in the heliocentric pantomime picture book. The track, the wheel of the Mars lander. This is the one we've been waiting for. This answers all the questions and the mysteries of heliocentric space. This alone was worth the $2.4 billion and the additional $300 million to follow. Incredible. This is the slop that gets served up. Kids get worked into a frenzy over numbers, so naturally this will get them salivating. It's a joke. Clearly a charade.
So there, as I mentioned, there are 20 megapixel color cameras, and we can actually basically...
Nah, big deal, Harley. No offense. You can salivate and get yourself worked up over that wheel. No doubt you will, and I'm sure you'll probably have a poster at home of it, signed by everyone who worked themselves up into a frenzy in the control room over a few numbers. Good on ya. But it's not really scientific. It would almost be the template for the perfect fraud. Dear, oh dear, if you can't see this by now, then there's no hope.